My name is Rajal Reagan, and I have two kids here, a 6th grader and an 8th grader.
And Louise Williams, I have a 7th grader.
Thank you. I was looking, I was like, down and out. There's like an empty chair down there, but I thought I saw him this morning. So yes.
My name is Rohit. I have a 7th grader here, so I work in the board area.
Thank you. And Mr. Michael Natenberg, our special speaker. For those of you who don't already know him, he is our SMIA teacher. And that means it's a required course for all 6th graders coming in. I sort of give them the lay of the land with respect to what they can expect from Kealing, with respect to some basic sciences and mathematics, organizational skills, things of that nature, basic writing. He's also a science teacher, member of the faculty there, and for those kids who enjoy sports and outdoors, ultimate frisbee extraordinaire. If your kids watch videos, like most kids do, they'll probably see Mr. Natenberg laying out for some frisbee catches that are unlike anything I've ever seen. He's very modest, but the reality is he and his wife, Miss Crouch, form an amazing duo here at school. If your kids have any interest in athletics and frisbee at all, please have them go out in the spring. It's an amazing club. Yeah, it's a total blast. There are more than 100 kids who participated last year, over 4 or 5 teams. A terrific experience. They play at beautiful fields out east. So. And they also have a fall.
Just having a fall league this year. Start first practice just today.
Yeah, outstanding. So look out for that in your emails and ask your kids about it. So with no further, Mr. Natenberg.
Thanks. All right, good morning. So Miss Kelly gave me a homework assignment. I'll read the prompt she gave me. It said, we're hoping for a little bit of Kealing 101, your class, how it prepares them for Kealing, general transition to Kealing, etc. So I took this and I wrote a little essay last night, and so some of this will come from the cuff, but I may reference my notes here, so you'll excuse me if I read off this. So the one unique quality of Kealing that I'd like to focus on this morning is the passion of our teachers. In every single core subject here, we have passionate teachers, whether it's world cultures, science, math, or ELA, which means that your child is going to be taught a curriculum that is going to engage and challenge them every single class that they go to. For the incoming 6th grade parents, I mention this because this is not a school that teaches to the STAR test, right? Therefore, all of our subjects are weighted equally. This is not always the case in some or most elementary schools. I taught 5th grade for 7 years before I came here to Kealing, and elementary schools are sometimes put in the position where they have to dedicate a little bit more time to those testing subjects that year, which means they take time away from other subjects. So here at Kealing, that's not the case. In other words, your child is not going to get any breaks when they go to social studies or when they go to ELA or science. Each teacher here truly believes in the importance and the skills, the importance of the skills that they're teaching. And they are trying to get your kid to love their subject as much as they do. So whether it's the critical thinking and inquiry that they teach in social studies, the reflective writing or thematic analysis in ELA, analysis, logical thinking and calculating in math, or the hands-on exploration and discovery in science. Our teachers have developed and written their own curriculum to bring their expertise and passion into what they're teaching. We are not teaching what the district is telling us to teach. We're teaching what we love to teach. So, as you all know, anything worth achieving requires hard work. So your students will be challenged to acquire them and master these skills and gain this awesome knowledge this year. I think a prime example of this is our world culture curriculum that they get in 6th grade. It's something that sets Kealing apart. So like I said earlier, most of our 6th graders come from a 5th grade class that was very light on social studies skills and lessons. Having taught that for 7 years, it's really hard to squeeze in the required amount of math, science, and ELA that you get tested on, and then talk about social studies as well. So, let's see where I left off. Good. So this year, though, they're going to be learning about the history of the whole world and about the differences and similarities in our cultures. It is going to require studying maps, reading and understanding primary sources, critical thinking about historical events and how they relate to our current lives, and their own extensive research. They're not going to be fed lessons through a textbook. Our world cultures teachers have gone out and they base their lessons on primary source documents. So they are going to be reading pretty difficult things from a really long time ago. So this is a huge challenge for most. I bring that up because you may see lower grades this year than you have seen in the past, which can lead to some frustrations at home. In sixth grade, we like to say, embrace the struggle. So in other words, for your students, study, seek help, come to office hours, make corrections, and put in the effort to really learn the material. The grades are going to come if you do these things. You should also know that our core teachers have created tools and can provide additional guidance. They make it their point to make their classes challenging, but attainable. Attending office hours is your child's best way to get this extra support. Our passionate teachers strive to make lifelong learners in their field of study. It's not uncommon here at Kealing for a student to come in with a favorite core subject and leave after 3 years with a totally different passion, right? And be truly passionate about that subject. And I think that is a pretty awesome thing about our school. So let's talk briefly about what I'm passionate about, which is building relationships and developing useful skills for learning. My class's singular goal, SMIA, is to prepare them for the challenges that all of our awesome teachers have in store for them over the next 3 years. We're the only middle school that offers SMIA, because I believe we're the only middle school that truly requires a class like SMIA. I'm lucky enough to teach every sixth grade magnet student, with the exception this year that Ms. Jones has about 50 of them here in the fall. To name a few of the things that we do in our semester-long course, is I prepare them by first seeing the power that comes from working well together with a unit on team building and activities. We then go into a study of growth mindset, which is what we're doing currently, which helps them realize that the successful or smart students aren't the ones that that don't need help, but are the ones that speak up and seek out help and improve. We also learn online collaboration skills through Google Apps, scientific thinking and data analysis, work on inquiry and communication skills by engaging in a Socratic seminar, and we analyze real-life situations in our personal finance unit. My goal is to teach these skills through engaging classroom conversation, reflection, and team projects. I love teaching my class. This is my 4th year to do it now. So that's about SMIA. Lastly, I'd like to thank KMag for the support that y'all have provided the SMIA class personally. We now have a computer lab full of 30 brand new, to us, refurbished, awesome computers. I've already overheard the students say, man, these things are fast. So, that is, you did not hear that last year, or the last 3 years. So y'all do awesome things for us, and I really appreciate it. So I kind of let off any of the nitty-gritty details, so I'm open for questions if anybody has. Yeah.
Can you tell us about the transition to time project? There are a lot of sixth grade parents here, and what it is this year and how it may differ from last year, because in previous years, sort of a rite of passage at home. And,
Right.
So what's going on this year?
So speaking to the science teachers, and I don't have all the details, but I think that they are really pushing the time project to be mostly done this year within their class. So it is not going to be a marathon, banging your head against the wall, parent project at home. It'll be interesting to see how that works this year, getting it done in the class.
There should be no divorces as a result. I'm just kidding. I don't think there really has been, but I mean, anyway.
And so the two big projects in science, they have the time project in the fall and the sound project is in the spring. And the sound project's awesome because we end with a big celebration where we get a band to come in and play for us. All the kids get to perform. It's an awesome day. So those are two very worthwhile projects to discover those concepts.
And in terms of, I'm sorry, go ahead. This is the last follow-up question. In terms of materials, things like that, is it mostly going to be coming from the classrooms, or will they still have to think about materials, or?
That's a good, I don't know the answer to that.
For the time project?
Yeah, for the time project. Have you spoken to them?
That must mean y'all haven't received the.
We have.
Oh, you have, okay.
Prompted the question.
Oh, okay.
Well,
So.
I didn't know if that was everything, because it looks like
Yeah.
I mean, the request was pretty limited considering you've got 270 some odd
Yeah,
kids.
what you received might be different from the initial request.
Gotcha.
Because I know that, so one of the things that is being requested in order to bring this into the classroom, so right now we've got one science room that's been like the workshop after school. And so if we're going to move more of this into the classroom, then each science room needs to be able to be a workshop during class. So there's obviously some tools and materials that are needed to make that happen. So that's where these requests are coming from, money requests, funding requests. So yeah, and initially I think it was like everything, and we were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's ask for funding for the things that can stick around and be used year after year, and during the rest of the year even be used by other people. And the consumables, let's find another way to figure that out. So and I don't know exactly where everything has landed, but that's kind of the thinking behind it.
Yeah, thanks for doing this morning. I have one question about office hours because
Yes.
I spend a lot of time alone in my office hours because I teach UT and students don't come. First thing to me is, one, what happens during office hours, but also what happens after, because there's a gap by about an hour between the bus and office hours. We'll go for the 6th grade core classes in at 4.
Right. So the office hours begin right after school. They definitely lead up to 4. Some teachers extend to 4:30. So to answer the first part, that gap between the completion of office hours and the late bus is think tank, which is in the cafeteria. There are a couple teachers there, but it's a time for them to either take a brain break and hang out with their friends and talk quietly, or to continue getting a little bit more work done before the bus picks them up. So they're in a contained, supervised area.
And think tank is only a certain part of the year, though, because the first week after school is after.
It's all year
That's-
long. We just didn't
yeah.
do it the first week
Right.
because, I mean,
We didn't
go
have
home.
opposite, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
But for parents, that would be kind of
yeah.
like rude awakening for those of us who are new to
I hear
6th
you.
grade, and that usually have our school program for them to go to. And so.
Gotcha. And then during office hours, that is really the time that the teacher is able to give one-on-one attention in a quieter setting, because it's not full of 25 to 30 students, and then really figure out how can I help that student and support them. Sometimes the student just needs a little extra time and a little bit of extra support. So it's a great opportunity for that.
Can you talk a little bit about how you work on organization?
So organization is a tricky one. That one is really a skill. The kids that really need the organization help, I really encourage coming to office hours. My SMIA office hours on Tuesday, that's a great time to come see me. Because organization, typically, for the ones that really need it, requires one-on-one attention. It's a difficult lesson, I've found, to teach to a whole class. Because the ones that get it, they get it, right? If you teach to a whole class, the ones that already get organization, yeah, they're picking it up, they're eating it up. The ones that really need the organization help, that whole class instruction is not going to help them get organized. So if your child is having organizational struggles and you're having a hard time fixing it at home, come see me on Tuesdays after school. We are about to have our first 6th grade kind of planning meeting where we do have these discussions like, hey, I noticed this student really needs help with the organization. Let's pull them into office hours and suggest that they come in. So I would say step 1, go to office hours. Step 2, the biggest thing in 6th grade is the accordion folder. It is really difficult to transition from having this idea of 2 different school days, an A and a B day. If you can help them organize just their homeworks and the assignments that need to come to school every single day in one accordion folder, it makes it super easy because that one thing has to be in their backpack. And if at least they bring that, if they forget a binder or a book, they're still going to have a great, successful day because they have everything with them. So I highly encourage getting the accordion folders. There may be some pushback, but do it. It's so much better. Does that help? with organization?
Yeah, I was just wondering if what sort of principles or tactics or strategies are being communicated to them in class that I could reinforce at home. I mean, I can't encourage my daughter to go to office hours, but is there any other?
Is your daughter using an accordion folder?
Well, I guess I'm anonymous. I'm not even sure.
Yes.
She has a homework folder. I bought her one, whether she's using it.
Okay, so
Light bulbs for it.
then like coming from elementary school, that usually that system is they're used to just having like a homework folder, but it's not enough. It can get really confusing. We go through a lot in each class period, and teachers do try to provide time at the end where they can kind of put away papers and organize. But I mean, I'll be honest, I love teaching for the full hour and a half. So if I'm providing, it's like mid-sentence bell rings, and I'm like, oh, sorry, and they kind of get out of there. I try to do a better job of that, but that's not atypical, I think. So having an accordion folder where they have all their subjects lined out for their schedule, and that is the one thing that you can go to and check, as well as they can check, that saves a lot of headaches, I think. So yeah, use those.
Do you tell kids to attend office hours? I mean, how do you encourage kids to use office hours, basically?
So definitely, I will encourage them to come just with having a slight conversation. I also do a raffle each semester in SMIA,
Okay.
where I give office hour raffle tickets, and then after about 2.5, 3 weeks, the kids, anytime they go to any office hours, not even mine, they can go to social studies, English, science, they get it signed by the teacher, they turn it into our box, and then I pick some winners. So that's another way where I try to encourage them to go.
Is it common for kids to not have SMIA until the second semester?
Right, we split it right in half.
Right, okay.
So there's kind of pros and cons of that. So the ones in the fall, clearly they get front loaded. They get these skills and then they get to take off. The
Right.
ones in the spring, it's a longer semester. So we get to like add another unit. We get to go in a little bit more in depth. So
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have, as a follow-up, do you have any advice if your kid is not taking SMIA until the second semester? I mean, any particular things that you want to tell us in that situation?
Help them right now.
Yeah, like, is there any, like, yeah. So far, we're trying like we don't need to go to the emergency room just yet. But
I guess two things. Like if your student's not taking it until the spring, one, can't stress enough the importance of office hours, and two, if they're having trouble with organization, have them come see me.
Okay.
Come to office hours on
even if they're
Tuesdays.
not
I'll work
in your
with them.
class yet,
Yeah.
they can still come. Okay.
Yeah, and
Good to know.
typically after we have this meeting in like, hey, how's everybody doing? Like, how are all the students doing? We'll
Good.
pull those spring semester kids in and try to get them in on a Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I make a quick comment about office hours? Two things. Number one is your child does not have to go to their teacher's office hours to get assistance for that subject matter. They can go to any teacher in that subject matter on whatever day they happen to have office hours. So that's kind of nice for two reasons. One is your child, if they are an orchestra or band, for example, they may not be available on the day when their teacher has office hours. So they can go get help in that subject on a different day from a different teacher. And it's nice, it exposes them to different teachers as well, and sometimes they build relationships just based on office hours. And number two is, they don't have to go to do their homework, they don't have to go to that like homework subject matter office. So if they have English homework that they want to do, but they really enjoy spending time with Mr. Natenberg, they can go to Mr. Natenberg's class and do their English there. So really, it's an opportunity to have sort of a nice small school environment for that hour after school that they might not otherwise get. I mean, Kealing's a big school, a lot of kids, but office hours, I mean, my kids, they still don't take advantage of office hours enough. My wife also teaches at UT. She has the same experience as she's doing. I'm like, where are the kids? And it's just, to me, like it's just a great opportunity to get to know teachers and other kids.
I think for us, and the thing with the office hours is that, you know, taking the late bus.
Yeah.
So far, my son has taken the late bus home once because he had to make up a test. So he's been to an office